Let me ask you something. Are you getting everything out of your rent-to-own business? If you're not an A-Pro member, then the answer is probably no. Look, advocacy is A-Pro's bread and butter. This is why they were created and what they do best. But here's the thing. A-Pro membership is about way more than advocacy. A-Pro connects you to the movers and the shakers of the industry, people who've been there, done that, and they can help you do it even better. A-Pro's monthly webinars give you expert insights and actionable takeaways. It's like having a masterclass for your business every single month. Got questions about complex regulations or sticky situations? No problem. A-Pro's legal hotline gives you direct access to experts who have got the answers. That's a peace of mind that you can't put a price on. And let's not forget the resources, news, updates, and tools that keep you ahead of the curve. Scholarships for your team? Check. Disaster relief when you need it most? Double check. A-Pro is your ultimate support system in the rent-to-own world. So stop settling for less. With A-Pro, members get more. More support, more connections, and more success. Head over to rtohq.org and join the A-Pro family today. Because in this business, more isn't just better. It's essential. See you at the top with A-Pro. Hello and welcome to the RTO Show. I'm your host, Pete Shau. And today we are on how to serve your customers better. Now we've talked about it a little bit, but we're really diving in now to get to specifics. I'm with Daniel Hajduk from Vox Populi, and today we're going to talk to you about how to use AI to really dive in. Now we've kind of scratched the surface on it, but we're really going to go in and how do you utilize AI not only to get your customers better, but how to serve them better. And I think this is one of those situations where it doesn't get any easier than what you're going to tell us right now. And how do you really dial in? And when I say easy in the sense that it's a lot easier than what you think and what you get out of it is so beneficial. So when we're talking about getting to know your customers better and you're talking about what it is on dialing into the customers and how to make that difference, how do you start that?
You got to start with thinking. And just sitting there for a second, figuring out who really are my customers. What do I know that really stands out for my customers and who they are? Like for us, for example, we can just say, well, businesses, because we sell to businesses. No. What type of customers and what type of people within a business? What type of businesses? What do they do? How do we sell to them? And we really had a breakthrough when we first figured out how we can personalize not just the marketing experience, not just the sell experience, but the whole customer situation. Everything with handling them from the good to the bad, how we personalize that down to our type of customers. First, you got to figure out what really are your different customers. We had a tough time narrowing down ours because we're like, well, this person's different here. Even within the rent-to-own space, we have different types of customers here. And we really do within the whole franchising, retail, rent-to-own space. We have different customers. You could say we have, for any like a single store or two store chain we work with is a lot different than working with a Buddy's or working with a Rent-A-Center or Aaron's because it's just the size difference and different goals and capabilities. So we can't just say, well, we have a rent-to-own customer because we're not going to hit you right if we just do the same thing. We're not going to handle you right and you're not going to have the same pain points, the same values. Right. So really try to think about that and start going through it. Like we've said in all these episodes, it already knows a lot. So from just an industry perspective and a geographic perspective, it can start there. What are my personas? Who do I sell to? Who actually buys from me? What do they do?
So in those situations, is it good to create a spreadsheet of just customer demographic information and say, names? Names might not even really be important as male, female, ownership of house, maybe would probably be something on it, whether you rent, you own, and birthdays. What else would you incorporate in that to see the type of customers?
So much. So for this episode, because I knew we were going to talk about this and it's fun, we worked on this for a while earlier this year for our customers at Vox and really just breaking it down. And yes, a spreadsheet. I can make a spreadsheet for everyone that can use a template to kind of go through this and start building out whether you're selling to business or like rent-to-own business to customer. Now we have a spreadsheet. And with that spreadsheet, I kind of built out 3 basic personas within the rent-to-own space that I feel like most people can have applicable to them. I had a military spouse, we had a retired couple, and we had a lady on fixed income. And within each of those customers, sorry, I went a little hard on this. I broke down everything from their basic information, their values, their behaviors, their associated brands, their shopping changes since COVID. Because everyone changed since COVID and all the different technology that came out. People do not buy like they did 5 years ago.
No.
I mean, go to the grocery store, I do the pickup on the curbside.
Right.
That was not a thing 5 years ago.
Kroger's a thing now. I mean, Kroger's a big thing now. You order it and they come to your house and they deliver it. I can do that at Publix. I can do it at a couple different places where or you can do like a DoorDash type of setup where somebody will shop for you and you just get your stuff.
Right. You got to know who values that, right? So within these 3 customers, that person might look at it different than person number 2. Time, price sensitivity, information sources. It's always important things. So you go into your marketing, you know, how you're putting it out there and where, because you're not going to put a TikTok ad for your retired couple. Hey, retirees, come get this. They're probably not going to get too many eyeballs on that.
Come on, you don't have that 80-year-old doom scrolling on there.
You're going to one day when the people of my generation are there. We're going to be doom scrolling in our
millennials are going to be doom scrolling, yeah.
But yeah, so again, it helps you figure out their pain points all the way down to how you handle issues with them. Again.
So what's an example of that? What's an example of really dialing in? Because I think we scratched the surface, but you're saying you just went in it. What does it look like when you go all in, and how did you get there?
It can give you a lot, or it can give you, like we've said with other episodes, chunks or everything. And I kind of just went in and laid out my spreadsheet and said, hey, this is the building personas for B2C customers. Who are they? And I gave it 3 overall customers. So I gave it number 1, the military spouse. Her name's Sarah Martin. And I didn't give it a name. It built out the name. So great. I don't know Sarah Martin. It gave me everything. So I got her name. We have her products she's interested in, and it said full home furnishings and appliances. She's 28. She's a female, obviously. Has, if she does work, because she's a military spouse. Location, obviously, your near base. I know some people are and some people aren't. Income range, education, marital status, kids.
Oh.
So, and again, that's just all those different topics I had just a few minutes ago.
Right.
It broke them all down with like 3 or 4 different lines. So you can figure out everything from the whole sales cycle and the whole customer life cycle, everything based on how you handle them. So you're not just throwing everyone in a big pot and mixing it up, because again, then you're going to have stuff fall out and it's not going to taste that good.
So is the thought process behind going in this hard is that I plan on hitting a bullseye more often than not. So I'm going to try to go in as detailed as I can, because some people have the other side of it. If I leave it broad, I will get broad. I don't have, if I go too detailed on one thing, I'm going to miss it in another aspect. If I'm looking too hard at this guy might be the one that I'm missing. But then you said you created 3 completely different personas. So we got Sarah Martin, and I'm glad that they didn't say Sarah Connor, but Sarah Martin in there. And so she has this is kind of what we can expect if we had that type of customer. Who else do we have in there?
So we have the retired couple, Bob and Carol Thompson. So they, I think, moved somewhere because they retired and they want to be closer to family.
Okay.
Easier life. What are they interested in? Well, they're in quality, comfortable stuff because they're older, right? So they're retired. You know what they're making. You know what they were making. You can figure out what they were doing before. That even helps before. They've been married for a while. They have kids and they have grandkids. It's a big deal on how you're selling to them, right? Then you have what they value, their behaviors, what they associate with. So for example, the retired couple would value, you might have a military spouse not shopping at Costco, but they will be at the exchange. So how can you play that into it versus the retired couple probably having a Costco membership that they go to on the weekends? Their shopping changes post-COVID. Everyone was affected, no matter what you think. No matter you think people are set in their own ways, everyone changed. And their pain points. The biggest one I want to bring up is the difference in how you handle both of their issues if they have an issue. So how does that work? So let's say Sarah Martin, she's a military spouse with her spouse deployed, and there's an issue if a payment or how to structure a payment. You can structure around how they get paid in the military, confirming, hey, we can structure around how you pay in the military.
Was it 1st and 15th?
1st and 15th. It's on the dial. And then if you have Navy Federal, it's the 2 days early, whatever, but it's the same. And right. Schedule's planned out. And that's important to some people because from my time in the Navy, I knew that some people lived off when they got paid. Right. And it's set in stone. You know they're always going to get paid. People care about that. Versus a retired couple who's, well, I'm just living off of this cash that I know I pull out every month, so it's whatever. So I know I have this much, but it's not necessarily set on there. You're going to more value, if there's an issue, you're going to want to make them comfortable. And they don't feel like they're going to hurt themselves or something that they can do. So bringing it to their house for them, walking through with them, writing it down, because you might not put it on a phone for them and they might not use stuff on their phone, but giving them an actual note with something on it with actual instructions would be more useful to them. besides saying, hey, scan this QR code for the manual for troubleshooting. They're probably not going to do that, but give them the paper copy versus giving Sarah the digital copy. Something like that.
Because the way I see it is, you come up with some information, you create a spreadsheet on the basic necessities of who you have, right? The demographics, whether it be tailored on the birthdays or, male, female, rent, don't rent, the money, how much the household income is and how much it's not. And you create this. And then you go into, you would take that, go after it's sorted, right? Because we always talked about regurgitating and then putting it back in. You take that information out and you say, okay, these are my top 5 customer classes.
Yeah.
Or top 3 or whatever, depending on where you are and how many customers you have. You have 800 customers, you probably have a lot more than that. You have 300 customers, you probably have a little bit less, right?
Yeah.
And then you put those back into AI and say, I want you to build me out a customer that has this age group, this much money coming in annually, generally married or not married, generally owns or doesn't own, and then get something out of it. Is that kind of like what you're talking about here? Like really kind of dialing into who you have, what you have, and then making those sales and service ideas based on what you're getting back from the AI.
Yeah. And first off, it's okay to have only a couple. It's not a competition to have more personas. It's better to have less. When we were building ours out, we thought we had over 10. We thought we had a dozen. We condensed that down to, I think, 7, which is even on the high scale for our industry or business to business. Having 7 personas is quite a lot. So you might only have 2 or 3. That's fine. Just knowing you're dialing them in right for everything is the most important thing.
Let's take a quick break.
Hey everyone, it's Pete Shau here from the RTO Show podcast, and I want to tell you about a company that's making a real difference in the rent-to-own space. Wow Brands. I've seen firsthand how they approach marketing. And let me tell you, it's not just about ads. Wow Brands builds complete digital ecosystems designed specifically for the rent-to-own industry. Their e-commerce and lead generation strategies are built to bring in qualified leads. And did I mention that they are actively working with the rent-to-own industry while also being members of APRO and TRIB? Listen, these folks are passionate problem solvers. They don't just slap something together. They design, build, and scale the kind of digital retail tools your business needs and your customers actually want. So if you're serious about growing, reach out to Wow Brands at wowbrands.com. I trust them, and I think you will too. I think the great thing too is you can see in your demographic detail and what you extrapolate and say, not only are these what I have available to me, this is what I have and this is how I can serve them better, but which one is more beneficial to have on the books in the sense that where's the direction going? Who's purchasing from me more? This is what I have, but this particular demographic, this particular customer, this particular persona is on the rise. In other words, I have, let's say baby boomers leaving. I have more Gen Z and millennials coming in. Gen X is kind of so right now. They're probably going to be on the way out, but not so much. They still got a few years left before they're on the back end of retirement. Yeah. So, and building that and not only know where to go to, but where you are from and dial in directly. And when I see that, the thought process is, what is more important to them and how can I get better Google reviews? Right. And also being able to say, let me type that in. What can I do to make sure that these customers remember to put us in a Google review, to say something on Facebook, to say something on Instagram, to give us a thumbs up or whatever the case is, and dialing in to the point where it's ridiculously amazing to get the results that you can get. But there's also like geographic targeting. Yeah. Right. And who is in what area. When you're looking at AI, do you have the ability to say in the New York area, Brooklyn borough, this particular area, what are the demographics and how would in this geographical area, what are the demographics and how do I approach that?
So if it's public information, they're going to have an idea.
Okay.
If it's something that you can find online, it can pull that all into one chat. So you want to figure out, hey, I am selling to people in the Brooklyn borough. I need to figure out what are their demographics. What's the age breakdown, even down to the different zip codes? What are the different zip codes? What are the different income ranges in the zip code? It can have an idea, have at least a starting point for all those different topics, so you know what you're working with. Because you can break it down. You're building out your personas down by all that. And if it's public information like that, you can figure that out.
How far is dialing in too much, in your opinion? Because I don't know if there's ever the right or wrong answer, but because people are going to say you go too far into it, you're going to miss the forest for the trees.
I think I don't know if we can consider anything dialing in too much. I think sticking to something and not letting things change. So you mentioned as people get older, people change, things change, people evolve. Don't, like anything, don't stay stagnant. Don't continue. Like we talked about in the marketing episode, don't do the same ad 3 times in a row because it's not going to do as much if you do 3 things different each year, right? So it's kind of just grow with it. Those customers can grow and they're going to change because you're going to offer a different product eventually. So you're going to have different services that people are going to value more than others. You might add a different whole department to your store because I know certain rent-to-own stores add tires. That might be more valuable to someone else, but you might not have that yet. So it's not really something you can add. But if you add a product line, you need to build that into there. So keeping them up to date and working with them as time goes on is probably the most important thing. Don't rely 100% on it like with anything, and give it your input. You know your customer the best. It's just going to help you fill in all the other lines with that customer. You know that lady who comes into the store every week at this time. You know everything about her grandkids, her family, what's going on, what they did for Thanksgiving, and so on. You're not going to get that from AI, but you are going to get similar characteristics for that type of lady. So you can find more of those Karens to come in the store.
I don't want to say engineering, but reverse information, right? Because you also have the ability not only to find out who's purchasing from you when we talk about, again, the birthdays and the demographics of, how much they bring in, if they rent, they don't rent. The idea too is to be able to take all the information of the addresses you have, just simple addresses, the address of the street, the city, the state, and the zip code, and be able to put those in. And you can say, well, where are the majority of my customers coming from?
Yeah.
Where are my hotspot neighborhoods? Where is it that I'm getting the most bang for my buck when I actually do, let's say I'm going to Vox and I want to do, well, not everything is digital, right? I want to get door tags. I want to get hangers. I want to get flyers that I can put in somebody's mailbox. So I want to send it to these particular things. But I'm new, I'm starting out, or I've been doing this for forever and I just don't want to waste my money. I want to make sure that I'm getting the best bang for my buck. Well, here's the other side of it, because social media is good. It's not everything.
Nope.
And some people are really good at it and some people are really not. And sometimes they're like avenues or people like, you know what, I like Facebook, but it doesn't give me anything. Well, maybe because you're not interacting with it the right way or social media the right way.
What do you consider getting anything from it?
Right.
And
to be able to turn around and be able to say, all right, have you been even tracking that data? So when somebody comes in, do you ask them, where did this information come from? Did you see us on Facebook? Did you see us on some type of social media? But also to be able to take what you already have and say, okay, these are the hotspot neighborhoods, or this particular neighborhood got hot because I am tracking this data, let's say every particular month, and I'm putting in all the addresses of all my customers, and I'm making sure that the AI program that I decided to go after, okay, I'm going to AR come up with this calendar marketing. And then I said, okay, the second week we sent out these mailers, and the third week, this particular zip code decided to go absolutely crazy because I kept up with, every single month or every 2 weeks, whatever, I'm inputting this data and getting it back and saying, you know what? We did this campaign and I might not have had anybody call me, but I had 5 customers come from that area that we sent stuff out to, a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And so that might be my lead time, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm sending out today. And, I would love to say as soon as they get it, they're walking in the door. But that isn't usually what happens. And so marketing, people also have to understand that, right? But then as you can analyze it through the AI that we already have, and I'm putting I'm putting in the agreements versus where they live and the time frames that I've sent out all this marketing material. Okay, I sent this marketing material the first week. The third week in zip code 33610, holy cow, I've had a 5-person or a 6-person return. And so maybe I want to target that every single month in the first week to get those out of it. Or maybe I hit up a different, let's say I do 33619 in week 2, and in week 4, I get 1. Not bad, but let me try something else. And I can also base where I send it to and what I send it to, not only to track the areas that light up on the map when I've done something, but where are the people that I already have? Yeah. Here's another thing that I don't, when you're dialing into your customers, finding out where you get the most issue. And I say that in the opposite end because we want to know what your customers are, but having customer collections is part of what we do. It is part of rent to own, and you can also put that in and go. I can take the information of my last 2 or 3 months, which probably isn't anywhere near as like your sales or your basic returns or your EPOs. But you say, okay, I have these credit issues where I might have had some charge offs or I might have some legal issues. Let me take all the physical information of that, where they were from, the zip code, the neighborhood, and I put that in there, and I can extrapolate of AI where is the basic zone of issue? Is it in this zip code? Is it that zip code? Is it in this area code? Whatever the case is. Our area is kind of big, but and say this neighborhood is not that great. Maybe I don't want to target that neighborhood as much anymore. Maybe I should just leave that alone, or I've oversaturated that neighborhood and I've got everybody else there. So I was sending a lot of marketing there, but now I'm not getting that bang for buck anymore. Well, because basically you've got like out of every 3 people, one of them is a customer. So they all know that you're there. They all know that you stop off. They see the truck all the time, whether you're doing a pickup or return a service, and they all know. So now I get to go to the next hotspot. And having AI help you track where the best idea is to go next for your marketing. And it's something that we've always talked about, but I don't think that I've ever done it in real time. We talk about it. In the AI and operations, we talk about, okay, where are the hotspots and where did you go? And what it used to be is we had this map on the wall, right? And we would do marketing. We would stick tags in it for, blue for this month and red for that month. And where did this customer come from? But that's tedious, or to be able to get that spreadsheet made on a map. We used to have also a way to take that information, put on a map. They would give you a map back and say, these are all the people that you have. I think you can do that on a daily basis if you want to.
Yeah.
With AI now, and be able to dial in and say, okay, most of the returns are coming from this area. Most of my sales are going to this area. Most of my EPOs are coming from this area, or most of my EPO PIFs, early purchase option and PIFs are coming from this demographic. In the end of February, early March, I've got tax returns coming back. But generally, it's not the younger people that are paying out. It's more of the people that have established themselves and have the family, and they're like, I don't want the bill. Or you have the younger people are like, this is when I get into my bill. I'm going to take that as a down payment and get into the big TV. I'm going to get into the game system. I'm going to get into the loud stereo. And being able to dial into that with the information that you already have and being able to input that into an AI and small spreadsheet chunks, whether it be 1 month, 2 month, whatever, and kind of pull that out is so interesting to me. To be able to do that and it almost to kind of reverse engineer your customer. They're already there. So we have one sense where we're building these personas and going, this is how I would attack this person. Mm-hmm. And when I say attack, I say that loosely. This is how I would sell to this particular type of person. This is how I serve their needs. This is how I say, okay, you have this particular need or you're approaching it from this particular angle. And this is how I redirect that. But then being able to go back to marketing 101 and go, well, it is important to already know what I already have. I've already done the work. It's already out there. Whether I advertise them or not, they already bought something.
You've been doing something.
Yeah, something happened, right? So be able to go back and say, well, what worked already? Taking your customer demographic information, putting it in, taking your customer geographic information and putting it in. And I think that geographically is something that's not talked about enough. Where is the chunk of what you service? And a lot of times some people will say, well, it's in the first 5 miles. It's in the first 5 miles. Your hotspot's probably within the first 3 miles. If you took your store and you drew a map or circle around it, that's where they would be. I don't think it's like that anymore. Because now,
not for everyone.
Well, I mean, now you have online sales. And everything that I've seen indicating in the last 2 or 3 years is after the pandemic, like we talked, okay, it might have been like that before, but now, what do we say? People go grocery shopping from their sofa. They buy fast food from their sofas, right? They're sitting down now and DoorDash is a thing and all this stuff. So like, how do we change it? Well, it might have been, and you might be able to see that if I put in the geographic data of the customers that I had from 6 months ago versus the customers that I had now. And you might want to go a little bit further than that, maybe a year, you go back a year. Where were my geographical data of all the customers I had? And did it spread out over the last year? And that's most of the time somebody can do that, right? At least a year of data and go back and say, okay, in December or when I had the most customers, which usually is at the end of November, early December, it's usually the biggest, largest customer count. And you take your geographical data and input it then and say, okay, where are my hotspots then? And where are my hotspots now? Were they closer together? Were they more tight knit that I have more people in the 3 mile area and a 3 mile area that I have that 70% and then maybe another 20% on that outlying and then the 10% outside of that? And am I going to see it different now? Because, now it isn't a time of social media. Now it is a time of online. Now it is a time of, I can shop 3 different places by literally going into my phone, typing something in, and they're getting and whoever gets to me first. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's a person close. It just means whoever was on their A game, right? And I think that you'll see that the 3 miles turn into the 5 mile, the 5 miles turn into the 7 mile, the 7 miles probably turn into maybe a 10 mile. Now I'm saying, of course, in urban areas, because I know that, outside of that, you have stores that are maybe in when I say the South, I never consider Florida the South, but Florida's the South, right? So, Alabama and Louisiana and Georgia, where there are some rural towns where 10 miles is nothing. 10 miles is
10
like
miles is next door.
10 miles is what I do to get groceries. You know what I mean? Like I go 10 miles for the groceries, but it's really like, I remember when I lived in Highlands County years and years ago, we didn't have anything. We had a grocery store in the area, and we had like a CVS, which was at first in Eckerd's. And so we got the basics. You could live. Okay. You could buy food and you can go to work and you can get, your basic supplies there.
But those stores outside of your area, better market to you.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to come to who you know.
Exactly.
Because you need more than
the Walmart was over there. So we had to travel 30 minutes, but that 30 minutes was a 20-mile ride.
Right. So would it be worth it for Walmart to send you something?
Absolutely. And so when I say that, you're checking your demographics and you're checking your geographics, is because you might find out, man, my customers come 30 minutes on average to come. And it might not be a lot, but 10% of 300 is 30 customers. How can I fix that? How can I make that 50 customers?
Yeah.
How can I make that 60 customers? It's so important to be able to do that. And I love the idea of extrapolating that data from something that's already there and saying, wow, I didn't know that.
And figure out why.
The why. We talked about that, previously. The why. Why
do they go 30 minutes? I go to a place to get my haircut that's not really right by my house or right by where I work, but it's a place I used to go to, and I'm still going to go there. Well, if they looked at it, why, or they got information, they would see, because I don't want to change who cuts my hair, because they provide the service I know I'm going to get. I'm going to be willing to go 10 minutes more out of my way to get what I get. That's why it's so important to figure out who you're serving and how you serve them the best. Because again, once there's that minor inconvenience in their life that changes, they move to a certain block, they change jobs, so their route home is different. How do I still get them to go out of the way from me? And figure out how to serve your customer their best is going to give you that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, and I completely overlooked that, but the longevity of your customers.
Yeah.
What's the time frame of when this person first opened their first account? Not just being their agreement time, right? Because it could be, I opened an agreement 5 years ago, I paid it off, I opened another agreement 2 years ago. I'm not a 2-year-old customer. I'm really a 5-year-old customer, but that agreement is paid out.
Yeah.
But going to the original date, the original purchase date of when that customer became a first customer, and go, what's the longevity of my customers?
Yeah.
Are they traveling because they're getting that service, and I better make sure I keep that up? Or saying, for some reason I'm cycling through customers. I still have the same customer account, but I'm paying more per customer because every time I get a new customer, another customer leaves and I don't get them back, because eventually you will run out of customers, because in the rent to own, you recycle. And I think Mike just had said he heard, and it might have been his father or whoever, that every store has 1,000 customers, just not at the same time. And so it's always that idea, like, how do I make sure that the customers who have been with me stay longer, and add on new customers to that? And knowing that information, being able to say, you know what, I need to know the longevity of my customers. Are they short-lived and I've been here for 20 years and yet I don't have customers past 2 years? I need to find out who's in my collections department. Or do I have 200 customers, but they've all been here for like 5 years? And so like, well, I really need to go after some new blood, because eventually they will time out. Eventually customers time out. I bought everything I can from you. I can't get anything else. I told my daughter to come. I told my son to come, but you know what? I can only get so many TVs. Yeah, right.
It's okay.
Right. And so you're like, wow, how do I expand and make that happen? And so the longevity of customers is a huge thing to be able to find out through AI, to be able to kind of go through and of course, nothing that we're saying here can't be done by a human. What we're saying is to be able to find this information in 1 day versus 10 days, versus I've been doing this for a month, but it takes so much time that I have to answer the phone. I have to make agreements. I have to do services. I have to make sure that I open and close the store. I've got to make sure that I'm answering my phone. I got to make sure that I'm taking care of the services in the sense that I have to do the background work. So I send them out for service. It comes back. I got to do the warranty work. I got to make sure it's done. I got to get back out. How about this? Let's just do it in a day. Take your customer demographic information, take their geographic information, take their longevity information, throw it in an AI, get some answers. And in 10 days, you could be coming up with an actual solution versus I'm still coming up with a plan. I'm still coming up with this in 10 days. And then hopefully I'll have something together in 30 days. And then I'm going to call somebody like Vox and say, oh, I finally got it all together. Can you help me out?
3 months later.
3 months later.
You missed out on all that opportunity
right.
that just happened.
Well, not only that, if you do it that way, then you're like, well, everything that I planned for is probably already over.
Right.
Because
you're probably not getting ahead of it. You're
right,
probably not planning
exactly.
6 months out.
Right.
You're planning for, oh crap, this is next week.
Well, I mean, I say that now, and I'm turning around and Valentine's Day is going to be right around the corner. So,
yep.
so to make that happen. But I mean, to say the longevity, and I actually didn't even really think about that. But another thing that not only to help the customer more and find out where they come from and how long they've been with you and longevity, but I think there's other aspects of the data searching and the data, proliferation that makes it's really important is because you can use it not just for the customers, but you can use it for your inventory to say, okay, let me take my inventory and I'm going to pop this in AI and find out, what am I servicing the most? What type of inventory hits my service list the most? What type of inventory has small problems? What type of inventory has big problems? Is it based on a name brand? Is it based on a model? Is it based on the time of year? Right? Because just because refrigerators go out doesn't mean that it's a model, right? Could be that I've had a brand that sits out there longer. Could be a model. The reason I say that is ACs. You always have an AC problem in your store. AC problems are like nil at the end of winter. But come the beginning of the summer, everybody has AC problems because they haven't worked. If they haven't been going on or there hasn't been an issue, you're going to find out at the beginning of summertime. At least in Florida, you will, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, having that historical data and again, feeding it into AI in these bite-sized chunks and going, okay, now I can get ahead of this.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to order from this particular vendor. I don't want to order this product from this particular vendor because this product is faulty, not necessarily the fault of the vendor. But, these type of ACs, I'm noticing now there's a 20% failure rate. And half the time that somebody gets this, they're always in warranty. And my warranty sucks because my AI says that it's just not going well. And it's not always the fault of the vendor. I mean, sometimes warranty is just the way it is because it's hard. You got to find pieces, right, whatever. But, dialing into your customers is also being able to dial into your product and what serves them best and what sells the best. I mean, how often do you guys go through your product lineup and go, you know what, this is on my portal. This sells the best. This doesn't sell so good. Let's switch it out for something else that works.
We're doing more and more, and we've gotten more on top of not just selling things blindly, but figuring out what is selling. Apparel is pretty hard to sell on our end. Not hard to sell, but there's so much to sell. It's kind of hard to figure out what everyone actually wants.
Is it options?
The amount of options, because people are like, oh, what kind of polos do you have? Literally every polo you can think of, from this polo to that polo on the wall over there. There's everything. Well, what one fits nice? That's all personal. So one thing we did with apparel is we built out these different tiers of apparel. So we started with the polos. And we based this off really the rent-to-own industry of 4 different tiers of polos. You have the staff polo, you have the manager polo, you have like the VP polo, and you have like the executive polo. So those broken down by 4 different ways. You have the brands that are within there. There's some brands that you're only ever going to find in certain price ranges. And there's certain brands that I know people are going to buy. They're a certain type of person. There are certain types of material. There are certain types of price, obviously, and what they're looking for and what the purpose of it is. So we figured out, well, when we're at a Geo World, Pete walks up. He's like, hey man, I need to get shirts for my store. I need polos.
I like that Pete guy.
I need polos. All right, Pete. Well, I'm not just going to sell you. If I'm wanting to treat you right, if we're wanting to treat our customers right, which is what we believe we do with our apparel programs, we're going to figure out what you really need and what's really right for you. We're not just going to throw everyone in a t-shirt because not everyone needs to be wearing a t-shirt. But we could sure make that an option. We're going to figure out, all right, Pete, what do you need to wear? Well, you need a polo, but you probably need something a little nicer since you're leading the charge. But your delivery driver does not need to wear the $70 polo because they're probably going to get it messed up and they're going to be wearing them in more labor-intensive situations while you're wearing these to meetings and to be in front of customers.
Right.
So we figured that out and we broke it down and made it a lot easier so I can tell you, hey, whether you have an idea of what you want to spend, what you want them to wear, I can basically select that within those 4 tiers. Now we can go into those 4 different tiers and find all those different options. But we figured that out. Like I said, there's probably, 10,000 something apparel items that you could buy from us. I mean, it's growing. Our suppliers release new stuff twice a year. Wow. As you see, our fall lines and spring lines come out. There's always new stuff. So we got like our master product list from our vendors and we put it into Claude. Now, like I said, bite-sized chunks because it takes so much. So we had to figure out, all right, let's just go take the polos, break it down, upload it by brand or price range or whatever. And I said, hey, I need help with differentiating this so I can post something. I need to create we have a flyer with all this on here. We took 10,000 pieces and simplified it to sell based off a flyer. Now it made our life easier. So we can literally just show you at this event or send this to you over email. Hey, well, let's make this selection process a little easier because it's just overwhelming for us. It's overwhelming for the customer. And that was one of the best things we created. Now we're able to rinse and repeat. We didn't only do that with polos. Then we created it for outerwear because it's important when wintertime comes around. You're going to want something different to wear here than you are going to want to wear in New York, right? Now, while we're down here today, it's probably as cold as it really gets. I don't need much more than a quarter zip. But you say, hey, I need some stuff for winter. Well, where are you located? I'm in Florida. Okay, well, we just need to look at the light quarter zips. No, I'm in Michigan. Well, we should probably look at the heavy jackets that are going to keep you insulated because you're going to freeze when you walk outside. There's no reason not to wear your branded apparel while you're outside, and we can provide that. But you want to wear the right things. Otherwise, you're not going to wear it. So figure that out. The last one we did was the ladies wear because we figured out untapped that was with bringing the fashion into corporate world and being able to wear what you want to wear. You don't just got to wear a suit and tie. You can have a little fun with it and a little style to it. And again, we've had great partners in coming out with great products that we can provide to everyone. And I see everyone wearing them all the time. It's so great to see people wearing stuff and be excited to wear things that are at shows or events whenever they come to visit us or we visit them. Like Pete's wearing a shirt we did for him. It's so awesome to see. I love seeing what people wear where they tell us my employees loved it. We figured that all out with AI. So when you have thousands of different variations of things and you're just trying to figure out what works best, make a tier sheet for your fridges. That's something you could put on top of each fridge or your appliance section. So your salesperson can go in there when your customer walks in and know what type of fridge they're looking for. Because again, Bob and Carol, I believe, are probably going to look for a different fridge or need different things than what Sarah needs. She's got to feed 3 kids. Right. They're just feeding each other. They have their friends over for barbecues. They just need to put their leftovers and their stuff from Costco in the fridge. So they may need a deep freeze. Whatever it is, tier it down and make it simple. So you can at least make your sales process easier. You can make what you're figuring out your product inventory easier. Just tear it down. Really, AI can do that. We took 10,000 items and put it onto a sheet and we came up with descriptions. We figured out what those price ranges were because we have polos that are $15 and we have polos that are $110.
Those are some good polos.
Yeah, but they're not good for everyone.
Right.
But we figured that out because we've laid it out and we went back and forth. Again, from my expertise, I was like, no, that doesn't need to be. That $40 polo is not in that category, or that brand does not need to be in that category because, again, brand.
So you're using AI to siphon through the brand, the quality, the make, the use, the amount of. I
started with like, hey, let's figure out pricing because pricing was the number one thing to tier out thing. Tiered pricing. Because I was like, wait, we're having a tough time selling 10,000 different shirts. Then we put on a sheet because when someone buys or when we buy a simple product, they have the beginners, intermediates, the advanced.
Yes. When
you're going onto a new app or something.
Right.
We did that with that. And then we're like, oh, wait, well, how can we make it sound different? How can we make it feel personal? So an RM can feel like they're buying their section of clothes. So we can put that on their portal. This is the RM section. This is the store level section. This is executives and above section, whatever it is. And it's like, oh, wait, now we can differentiate it by the description of it. It came up with descriptions of it. And then again, I'm like, well, I don't like that how it sounds, and it's not going to appeal to my type of customer. So again, balance that. But I don't know about you, but I don't have time or the will or desire to sort through 10,000 items.
I don't have the fortitude to make it through that many items. I mean, I would love to say that I would, but 10,000, look, I'd get to like 500. I'd be like, I quit.
Yeah.
I quit.
The other thing is you don't have to have all the crazy Excel skills.
Right.
Because I don't call myself a Excel aficionado, Google Sheets aficionado, but I'm good at Googling things, putting it into Claude. And that's what anyone can do.
I think that's what everybody does is they Google it. You know, part of it too is because I know that sometimes we do this in small stores. Yeah. And, you know, rent to own just has like so many facets to it. But we love to get people things, right? We want to get people things that they're going to use and utilize. So I want to put a big lineup of what I have. But the truth is sometimes somebody get lost in your online, you know, and you put, okay, I have 10,000 items. I don't know if I'm going to scroll through 10,000 items. Right.
Because it's going to be too much.
It's just too, even if you have 20 sections, 50 sections, 100 sections. Well, 100 sections at 10,000 is a lot of pieces, right? But you want to advertise that. You want people to find what they're looking for. But I think the idea too sometimes is there's nothing wrong with streamlining it. Like you said, kind of taking this big, huge, I do have this available to what's really going to suit you and what options are you really looking for? Do you need 3 or 4 of the same option? Or is it, let me get you this option. And now we're talking about one with a side-by-side with ice and a French door. And you don't have to have 6 options of each one of those. It could be just 3 options, right? The side-by-side with the stainless, the black, and the white. And we kind of tailor it down and we tear it down and we say, okay, what is really selling and what's going to sell the most of? And what do I get?
What do I need to actually show people?
Right. What do I need to show people?
You can have it on the back end. You can have it on the back side of the piece of paper. These are the other actual variations, but you don't need to show all that.
See, that's what I'm thinking. I think like you take AI and you go over what you have. Let's say another way to dial in your customers is find out really what's selling, what is great, and eliminate the overthought.
Eliminate the unnecessary.
Yes.
So actually on my way here today, I was listening to a podcast and it was about this health company. And there's this whole thing where they're talking about people take supplements blindly. And you're taking something, well, you don't really need to take that because that supplement, that multivitamin or this already has all that in there. It's not necessary. So these people that are taking 100 different things really, or these 100 different things within what they're taking, they're putting it into AI to plan out these things. All right, what's overlapping and what can we get rid of? So they can basically simplify these nutrition programs down to something that's in a packet instead of them having a supplement drawer in their kitchen with 20 different containers of things that you have to pull out every day. They've simplified it in these little packets. Use AI to that. They simplified it down.
I think that's a great use. Sometimes I think that, we're talking about AI and how it comes out and everything like that. But I think just utilizing what's already available to us and just figuring out how to make that happen. Whether we're dialing into the customer and finding out how to find out where they are, who they are, what it is that they would be more suited for. In other words, I have 10,000 things on my list, and maybe I should cut that down to 5,000 so that they can streamline what they want. Being able to find out, I think an idea I haven't really talked about is, we talked about servicing, what's good, what's bad, what's indifferent. I would have never thought 3 months ago of using AI to how to best serve my customers, how to find the better products, how to make sure those products are staying on the street. And not only that, because you can use AI to say, okay, these are the steps, not necessarily the steps, but you want to put it down in how would I service a washing machine? What are the basic things? And now I can create a sheet through AI with some basic bullet points and go, this is something I give to my driver every time somebody says, you know what, my washer isn't working.
If you don't have your SOPs, your standard operating procedures documented, which is something we're working on ourselves, it creates a SOP just like that. And it looks like that. Bull pointed out something you could put in your delivery truck for any common issues or troubleshooting needs or things that people just deal with on a daily basis. It helps you and it only helps your customers. Something you can hand them.
And make it so quick, and make it so quick and say, hey, the washing machine is not working. Here are like 5 or the 10 or whatever it is, easiest things that you can check out right now. And I can build that right away. And I have that built for the washer and a dryer and a sofa and a fridge. And, let's say how to restore an HP versus a Dell or a gaming computer or whatever the case might be. And put those down in those situations where, how do I do this? Well, you don't have to know how to do it. Just tell me what it is you want to do. Put it in the AI and let it organize, sort it, and give you an outline for it.
It's going to give you something better than what you have when you have it.
Probably. And that's the whole point.
And what that's going to do when that moment comes up with that customer having that issue and your delivery driver can give that level of service. I don't know about you, but I'm like, holy crap, I'll come back because I know that I'm going to be taken care of when I come here. Yeah. And that's going to keep, like you said, every store only has 1,000 customers, right? That's going to make that customer 185 be there for the full time.
Yes.
And not skip and not be there every other 3 years. They're going to be there constantly.
And I like the idea of being able to build that out. I think we always worry, how's it going to look? How do I build it out? How do I say it? And I think we put our own roadblocks up. And with something like that, I can give it 5 different ideas, including what it also comes up with on its own end and say, you know what, make sure that the drain hose is tightened down. Make sure that it stands up at least, 40 inches high. Make sure that you tighten down the hot and the cold, which is usually, whatever problems it is. Make sure that you disconnect it, let the power down, recycle it or whatever the case. Make sure the washer switch is working. Make sure, whatever the case is. And you come up with these ideas and this ability and it's like, why haven't we been doing this?
Yeah, you get frustrated.
And some people do. Yeah. Well, I don't want to say that it never happens. I don't want to say that there's a rent-to-own company that doesn't have this, because they might. They might be out there and they might send them out with these sheets and they might have those SOPs ready to go.
Good.
I can tell you there's some that don't. I can tell you right now that somebody who's listening to this could be like, we do that all the time. And you're going to be sitting next to somebody going, yeah, I won't do that at all.
You do that?
Yeah.
They're going to be like, wait, that's a thing?
I'm going to tell you right now, I've been working at rent-to-own long enough to say I definitely have difference of what's been happening out there. And I can tell you right now, I've sent guys out there who have no idea what's going on. You try to talk to them over the phone, or you try to solve the situation. They're new, or whatever the case is. But being able to make these things on a regular basis and not spend 25 minutes per is just a great idea. The service aspect alone is worth making sure that you do everything you can to keep that customer safe. Or going online and say, in this particular product, this particular brand, this particular product, what are some of the problems that normally come up? And be able to address those with the person, address those with your driver, your delivery team ahead of time to get ahead of the problem. This particular dryer is great, but you have to clean out the lint filter every single time. Every time? Well, you should be cleaning it every time anyways. But yes,
this one
every single time. Yes. You really want to make sure this one, because of whatever it is, it has a sensor, the sensibility, whatever it is. It has one of those filters that it really extrapolates a lot of lint, but it also builds up faster. Instead of letting a lot of lint through, it really takes it out. But then at the end of every load, it's going to be full. You're going to realize how much less lint you're going to have in the house, but how much more is being collected. So you can't do 2 or 3 cycles at a time before getting it done, or whatever the case is. And, building those for the service situations, building this not only so you can see the service on the back end and what you probably wouldn't order, but building on the front end. And how do I fix this? How do I get my guys to do this again and again and again, over and over and over, finding out which is good, which is not bad, finding out where my customers live, find out what my customers make, find out how the longevity of my customers, what's going in and what's going out. I have these, I've had 5 younger customers come in this month. I've had 3 older customers leave. This is month 3 of that happening. I'm losing out on my older customers. So number 1, why are they leaving? And number 2, how do I get those new customers to keep on coming in? Because I want that brand new blood. Yep. And using AI to kind of like drive that engine. It says I can find all this out in a lot sooner time.
I'm getting
frame.
overwhelmed just talking about it, because I'm like, I can't figure that all right.
Exactly.
I can't sit here and just I'll start typing one line and I'll be like, well, I don't really know, because I don't have anything to back it up.
Well, and I think there's so many ways to decipher your customer, and we've talked about where they live, what they make, what they have, who's in their family and stuff. But there's also different sets of customers, as in who's more inclined to buy cash, who's more inclined to pay it off in their same as cash, who's more inclined to go full term. And those are 3 classifications of customers that you might have one that actually fits all of those. And you might have one that generally fits just one. And finding out all this information, because knowledge is power. Finding all this information about your business is just the best way to say, I can do this better. And you can literally do this from an office within 5-6 hours. And you can say, I've created this sales plan for an entire year. And it doesn't have, like you said, it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be, we're going to do this exact thing. No, but it gives you the bones and it gives you the structure. And as you get there, as things happen, you can say, I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to do that differently. I came up with this idea. But the thought process is, you're not going into every single month blindly. You know where your customers are coming from. You know what they buy. You know their buying habits. Finding out where customers buy from the most. If you're really dialed into your customers and going, where am I getting them from? Not just where are they literally from this neighborhood or from that neighborhood, but where? Are they online? Are they on the phone? Are they walking in? How did they come about to even know about me? And being able to put that information in there and just know, okay, this is working out way better. Because one social media can also work a lot better than others. I don't know why. Maybe it's the way the person presents that information. I know I'm a Facebook guy, and everyone's like, yeah, I don't even want to show my age, but I'm a Facebook guy. I do go on Facebook. I do some Instagram. Now, because of the show, I do a lot more. But if it wasn't because of that, I wouldn't venture off that much.
Right.
But then my daughters use Snapchat. I'm not a Snapchat person, but it's there. I'm not a TikTok person, but it's there. And anything that goes viral nowadays, it's not like, oh, I saw that on Facebook and now it's viral. No. That's a TikTok thing, right? Whether it be a dance or a product or something that somebody showed you, that's on TikTok. That's not going to go viral on Instagram. It's going to go viral on TikTok. Now, it might, but generally it doesn't.
Right.
And so, finding out also where your customers come from in the sense of, where did I get them from? Was it because I did that stupid quirky dance on TikTok and that's where they came from? They don't even know what I'm selling. They're like, you know what? I want to go see that guy over there. I remember my wife was saying that we're kind of following this guy and he did something really crazy. It was like the beginning of a craze. He did something stupid, like some splash came and he jumped out pretending like he got splashed and he started talking. And all of a sudden everybody was doing that. Yep. Something happens and it turns into a sales pitch. I'm riding a horse, they fall off and then they land in the bed and they start talking about it. It was funny. But it was like the first guy that I had seen do it. And so they were going over a story and like the business that he had showed a 300% increase in business following that ad. And I don't really even remember what that guy did. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I know that I watched it. I watched it like 6 times because it was absolutely hilarious. And so, it's different ways that you come about these things, and AI being able to point that out to you and saying, you know what? This is where it's coming from. We can kind of cut through all the fuss. We can make a sales plan. We can find out where your customers are coming from. We can find out what's more important to them. We can make sure that you streamline what's on your online so that they're not wasting their time. And we can do this in real time. It's there. I mean, to be able to dial in that much. And, I keep on looking at my notes because sometimes I look at it and go, God, I forgot about that.
There's so much with it.
There's so much to do and there's so much going on. And it's like, how did I get to this point without utilizing it, and one of those tools. And so it's good to hear that you guys are using it to kind of sort out and streamline what you're doing, because I think that's what we need to do too. We need to streamline how we get to the customers and the information that we give out to them. We don't want to give them all the fuss and muss about stuff that they don't really care about. Yeah. We want to give them what they want to know, the information about the product that's going to make them buy or not buy, or make the decision that's right for them, and then get them to ownership. And the faster I can do that, the easier I can make that happen for them, the easier I can make it for us. And we can be successful together. So that's what we have to talk to you about today, dialing into your customers and making sure that you understand everything about them, where they're coming from and where they're going, and more importantly, how you can affect their lives and how they can affect who you are and your brand. If you have any questions, please hit me up at the show. It's Pete at the RTO Show podcast.com. If you have any questions for Daniel or myself, you can hit us up there. You can hit us on the DMs on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and now YouTube. Make sure you check us out there. Don't forget to subscribe. And I will tell you guys, as always, get your collections low to get your sales high. Have a great one.